welcome to the 12th episode of Meet the Author of We Choose Joy, the amazing anthology that I got to be in with Roberta. I am so excited to introduce you guys. Roberta and I clicked immediately when we first met via Zoom, and she is just a special person. You're going to hear me say that about every author to some degree, because these are just like totally 22 women that were meant to come together to write this book. So with that being said, Roberta, would you please introduce yourself and let us know, who are you and what do you do?
Okay. Well, my name is Roberta Holdsworth, and I am a mother of two, grandmother of two, and I am a new empty nester. Kind of get used to that one. But during the day, my suit, I work in the office at WebTech as a contractor. I work in the engineering department, and I just kind of, work on projects and, I keep the wheels rolling. I'm like the hub that keeps the wheel going, all the spikes, they're all the spikes, and I'm the hub that holds them good. So, I love that. I've been working with engineers and working in the office and learning. So I just love to learn. So, it's a lifetime of learning, and it is very fulfilling. So, and when the opportunity to be in the book came around, I know Linda from the Divas. You're probably going to hear the word Coffee Club Divas a lot, because there are, quite a few of us that we've got in there. And, she was, at first, reaching out to people and saying, hey, we're going to do a book about this. Is anybody, would like to be in it? I'm like, you know what? I have a story to tell. It's not that I'm looking at myself. I'm looking at to help somebody else. Because there's, when you've been through it, you go through the tough time, but wouldn't it be great if you could share your story and help somebody maybe to make theirs a little bit less painful? So that was, and I'm all about women. I'm an advocate for women encouragement. I'm putting together a company that's called the Empowerium company, and that is all about empowering women. There's many avenues I have going towards that. So
I love that. You're going to just hear
yeah,
over and over again that the majority of us wrote our chapters to serve others.
yeah,
Kind of the theme
yeah,
keeps coming up, and I like to point that out because it's just consistent with every single person's chapter.
yeah, yeah. And it is, I sometimes when you're in a bad place, it could be mentally or just physically or whatever, you kind of feel like you're alone. And I know that. And it's just nice to know that, and as I grew older and became a young adult, I did join a lot of women's groups, because that was my only avenue to outside, and it made me stronger. And, that's what somebody helped me. I want to pass this tick along.
And I think that's
So,
the beauty of women, just in general. That's our superpower, is to love others.
yep.
Well, you already shared with us kind of the story of how you started, you got involved with the anthology. Would you please share with us part of your chapter?
Sure. So, a lot of my chapter is about I it's about my mother and her family. And the reason why I started off with that is because um it laid the groundwork of what I went through. We were a very poor, from poverty. We lived in Skid Row. My mother was from Skid Row. Um, and along with Skid Row sometimes comes alcoholism. And, that's their only escape. That's their escape from life. But with me, and this isn't actually verbatim of the book, but with me, it was like that was my mom's escape from life, but I was part of her life. So, the thing that I kind of like remember, and my little teaser per se is, um, when I was like 10, when I turned 10, my mom was like, okay, you're double digits. You're old enough to take care of yourself. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, I'll provide you with food and, you got a house over your head and some things that you might need for school, but anything else, you have to do it yourself. And while this might be something you hear as a teenager, but not a 10-year-old, I'm like, what the heck can I do at 10 years old to make money? I
Mhm.
was like, okay. And my mom wasn't home a lot. I mean, like, I would say, up until she quit drinking, it was probably 85% that she was at the bar. I mean, and 15%, doing me. So, what I did was I couldn't even babysit because back then there was a law that you had to be 13 to babysit.
Mhm.
And so I couldn't even do that. So what I would do is I would go out and look for work. I would do people's yards. A lot of it was I would clean their houses, and I did that all the way up through high school, the house cleaning. I would go in and they would pay me cash, and that's how I feel that my entrepreneurship really started to go because I was in the mode where I have to make it on my own.
Mhm.
Right. you know so so that's how that's the little teaser on my chapter. um it's not like I don't want to tell you word for word because then what would you have a reason to read it for, right?
Really enjoyed your chapter. It was a very unique story. I think that that's kind of what I took away from it is that
Mhm.
a lot of times our stories overlap, and you definitely had elements that you don't hear often. I know some of your elements I had never heard. So it's a good chapter. So you have to read it to get to know the rest of it.
Yes, it is a
With
good.
that being said, this is the exciting question. Like, would you ever be a part of another anthology if you were invited? And have you ever thought about maybe just writing your own book, just like a Roberta book?
Yeah, actually, I have thought of both. Because when I started writing, it was like a floodgate was left open.
Uh,
Like we only had a chapter to like share a little tiny bit. And it's not that I want to tell my whole story like every day. It's just, if I can reach more women and help more women and encourage more women, there are other things that, I didn't go into detail
mhm,
because of, what shortness. And I and there's different parts of it. There's like when I was a child, this was mainly when I was a child up to 10 years old. And just, I mean, being like, even motherhood, being a single parent. I mean, I was a single parent. I mean, obviously I was in some relationship to have my two children, but as far as that goes, for most of their life, I was a single parent.
mhm.
So that's another book I'd like, that's an idea I have for a book. I even have uh a thing for the cover. Because I was gonna put like caution tape, the hazards of being a single parent, I'm like, here's the little clues on the ground, here's the detective.
Well, I look forward
Um
to that. You just threw it out into the universe, so now it's gonna happen.
it's gonna happen. It will happen. Because and that was what I did when I was in my early 20s, when I was, first became a single parent, is I reached out to other single women groups. Because the one thing that I know, there's single parents that are men as well, but the majority is women. And And fortunately for us, this is like unfortunate for men. We do support each other more. We are out. We will tell each other our stories to like somebody could say, hey, I've been through that. Where men keep it all bottled in,
Mhm.
we let it out. So, and that's what I needed. I needed somebody to, there's a couple of people in my life that were very pivotal in my life. Um, even in my children,
Yeah.
even in my children were pivotal. So just having children and I didn't want my children to grow up the way I did.
Yeah. All right.
So
Well, you have all this wonderful material now to like
I know.
down and have your next focus on your next book, solo book or anthology with other,
Yeah.
be even creating your own anthology with other single mothers.
Single
So,
moms. Yeah. And I think it wouldn't be as many women. That is like, I felt so bad for
yeah,
Linda.
22 is a lot, but there was a
That's a lot of women to like, it's like herding cats. Okay.
lot, especially when it comes to women.
I mean, yeah, just to choose the
Yeah,
name of the book. It took us forever just to choose the name of the book. But I mean, like, maybe five
yeah,
other women from different backgrounds, you know, um, of how they grew up and stuff like that would be wonderful
yeah.
to share that point of view.
Uh,
And there's just so much I could just there's like it's like Corey says, just tell your story.
mhm,
Tell your story.
yeah.
And this opened a door, and I am so thankful and grateful to Linda for allowing me to be part of this.
Mhm.
And it was hard at first to even start. It took me forever. I mean, I wasn't like behind the deadline, but I was close. And then until I figured out that, oh, wait a minute, because I could just talk into the computer because Word, you could
Yeah,
talk and then just.
it's a great
And
tool.
so once I started doing that, I was like, this is so much easier because then it flows better. Like, you're not typing because you can't help but backspace to fix things.
Right.
And I just talked and talked and talked in there, and then it's easier to do that way. And that was for me. Some other people like to write by hand, and
I love that
I
you
don't.
brought that up because actually that shows that like nobody has limits to sharing
Right,
their story. And that's so important that the only thing holding us back is ourselves. And
right.
if you need tools, if you have any kind of need that, you can talk, you can type, you can have, there's ghostwriters where you can just talk to somebody and they can write it for you and all
Mm-hmm.
the things. So you have shared so many things from your heart, but I want to give you some time if there's anything else that you want to share from your heart to finish this amazing heartfelt podcast. So do you have anything
Yeah.
else that just you want to share with us?
I just, I really want to share that, to whoever's watching this, you might not need to know about this, but you might not know somebody else that does.
Yeah.
These books are great for grandmothers, aunts, mothers, sisters, cousins. I mean, it might not be for you. And it is a very heavy read, but it is a very up it's heavy, but it's uplifting. I
Mhm.
know that doesn't make sense. It's
The
what is I don't know.
duality, the duality of
Yeah. Yeah, it's the duality of it because we did choose joy at the end, right?
yes,
And sometimes we have to choose joy every day, and
yes.
sometimes every hour, and sometimes every minute. It's like, especially, I have things up at work. I have the We Choose book, and I have my thing is today I choose joy, and that's James 1:2. And I just, when I'm having a bad moment, I just looked up to that. And it's some dogs on a roller coaster. Oh my God, it's the funniest thing. These dogs on the roller coaster and they're all these different looks, and it just makes me laugh. And it makes me remember that we have choices
Mhm.
no matter what. And if we choose joy, it will brighten that moment. And some people, it takes a while to get there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, there was things when I did that I hadn't thought about in years, decades since I was a kid. And I'm like, now this like floodgates open, and I'm like, oh my gosh, stop. But you know, it's good as well, you know, because I could probably share some other stories or some other just something to help somebody.
And I
That's
think the most beautiful part of that, like what you shared, is that we are in control.
hmm
We get an opportunity every minute to choose better, you know. And I
yes.
think sometimes people confuse joy with like happiness and all the things. It's not like we're saying, oh, bad things happen to us and so we have to be joyful about it. We don't have to be joyful about what happened, but we're joyful that we took control of how we're responding to it,
hmm
especially long term. So thank you so much for sharing all of
Thank
from your
you.
heart and everything. And I appreciate you so much, friend. And thank you for being episode number 12. Thank you guys for
Woo!
listening and watching and all the ways that this is coming to you. And again, until next time, thank you for listening to episode 12.
Thank you, Rachel.